The views expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of WPSL. But you can sure like and share them on Facebook all you want to, because it's time for the African American Scene. Brought to you by Howard Insurance and hosted by Rudy Howard.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. Always glad to be with you here on a Wednesday night. Boy, there is more stuff going on now. Oh my God, what a blizzard. When Carol came in, she said, "Well, Rudy, I guess you'll be searching for stuff to talk about tonight." And we both got a good laugh out of that.
Never a dull moment around here, right?
So we're going to have an open mic night tonight. I'm going to tell you the topics, and then I'm going to share with you a poem that I really like and says a lot about some of the things that we talk about here on a weekly basis. But here's topic number one: the principles of democracy. I think this is a good time to talk about democracy. And I have a list of the top 10 democracies in the world. Now, you might find that very interesting. And based on our subject last week about free stuff, my topic is the absurdity of the conservative media's free stuff argument. And then we are at a very dangerous time. That's topic number 3. We are at a very dangerous time. And finally, if you want to call up and talk about the Comey Trump thing, I'll be more than happy to engage you in that. But those are the topics. That should be enough to keep us going for a while. And I have the 13 principles of democracy, and I graded our position on those, and I'll share that with you. But first, let me give you this poem, and I think you'll enjoy it. I read of a man who stood to speak at a funeral of a friend. He referred to the dates on his tombstone from beginning to end. He noted that the first came his date of birth, and he spoke of the following date with tears, 1916 to 1998. But he said what mattered most of all was the dash between those years. For the dash represents all the time that he spent alive on earth, and now only those who loved him know what that little line is worth. For it matters not how much we own, the cars, the house, the cash. What matters is how we live and love and how we spend our dash. So think about this long and hard. Are there things you'd like to change? For you never know how much time is left that can still be rearranged. If we could just slow down enough to consider what's true and real, and always try to understand the way other people feel, and be less quick to anger, and show appreciation more, and love the people in our lives like we've never loved before. If we treat each other with respect and more often wear a smile, remembering this special dash might only last a little while. So when your eulogy's being read, with your life's action rehashed, would you be proud of the things they say about how you spent your dash?
All right.
That's by Linda Ellis. I love that poem. Is that loaded or what?
Yeah, this dash thing, you know.
It makes you think, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
You know, you go to a headstone or a graveyard and you see such and such to such and such,
Yep,
with the dash in
the
between.
middle, Yeah.
And the dash is that time you've spent here on Earth. And how well did you do with that?
Did you leave a dash or a gash?
Ah, yes, yes. So I think that's pretty cool. So, all right. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I do. I like to read that every once in a while just to give me something to think about. And so if you of course, if you want to call, that number is 340-1590. That's 340-1590. And we got Steve on line 1. Yes, sir.
How you doing, Rudy?
Good.
We're all in charge of our own life. We're in charge of our own course. We make our own decisions. Now, if we let people influence those decisions and they're wrong, shame on us.
Yeah.
Okay, with that being in mind, people have got to start living their beliefs instead of just believing them and mouthing them. We in our community, we've got enough people here that would volunteer. We shouldn't need a volunteer one for schools, hospitals, anything. But we don't do that. We're not united. We're divided.
Yes, we are.
And that's the problem. Until we become united, until we forget the R, the D. I'm a neutral, so I'm an N. Oh, that's the N word. God, I can't use the N word. I'm in the middle. I'm an M.
I understand.
You know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
You got to stop this pigeonholing. We are Americans, period. And we have values and laws that we operate by, period. Now, this investigation going on with the president, yeah, it's a lot of, the guy's charged, so he's trying to dodge a bullet. The people after him are trying to hit him with a bullet. So it's a game. They wired the White House, they wired the outhouse, they wired everything, It's all a game. And we've got to stop the game and just get down to facts.
Well,
Point somebody, look into it, here's the facts, into the case.
Well, you've heard me say 1,000 times since I've been on the air, we are at our best when we can take from Republicans and Democrats and synthesize that together and come up with a solution.
Right.
We don't do that anymore. We can't even talk to each other anymore.
We can't put our prejudices aside enough to realize that working together as a neutral with ideas coming from both sides, we got the problem surrounded.
Yes, we do. Because
neither
side has all the answers.
Exactly.
Democrats don't have all the answers. Republicans don't have all the answers.
Exactly.
And
you want all the answers, you come to me. It's $29.95.
Yep, there it is. Sales pitch. Yep.
You hit it right on the head. Nobody has all the answers.
No.
I'll be honest with you, as Joe Citizen, who's not running for any office, I don't give a hoot about all this sidebar stuff. I just want to know, did it happen or did it not happen?
Yes.
The sidebar stuff, all the carnival stuff, and all these absurd claims. I don't want to hear that. I used to have a saying on one of my jobs. I said, when you're at work, the only thing I want to hear you talking about is work.
Here's the scary part about this, Steve, okay? This has been nonstop now since last night at 5 o'clock. I mean, it's nonstop. You can't turn on the radio or the TV that they're not talking about this. Now, unfortunately, and Cliff and I talked about this before I came on the air, there's going to be people sitting in front of that TV, and every single thing that comes out of the mouth of that commentator, they're going to take as the gospel.
I heard today it's coffee shop guy saw it on Fox this morning. So I know it's true.
Right, exactly.
I'm sitting there going, more sugar, I need diabetes, something.
That is a perfect example of what I was talking about, Steve. Perfect.
Kind of makes you want to eat a donut, doesn't it? Yeah.
I just sat there and I was like, my God, are we really been taken over by the extraterrestrials?
Yeah, I'm telling you. But it's going to happen. It's going to happen. because
Exactly.
because people are intellectually lazy.
Do you think?
Well, Steve.
I know people have problem making up their own mind. About something. Should it go left? Should it go right? Hell, I don't know. They go for a GPS, but it's crazy in this country until we start saying, "The heck with the computer. Let's all sit down together and talk about this." Because a computer is just a faceless way to insult somebody.
Yes, absolutely.
You don't really get anything done.
Yeah, that's right. Like it used to be telephone muscles. Now you got computer muscles. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm not on any of the, Twitter, Facebook, all that stuff. I don't even have that on my computer. I mean, I am not interested in you taking your boat out to get an ice cream cone. So, I'm a little more interested in that. But thanks for the time. I'm
Thanks.
sure you got other people.
Yeah, Steve. Thanks for calling. Faithful listener. Okay, here's we're getting this first topic. With all that's going on, and actually Steve's conversation was a perfect lead-in, thought I'd talk about the principles of democracy. What are the basic principles of a democracy? And now here's one for you. In 2013, they ranked the top 10 democracies in the world. And I'm going to read them for you. Number 1, Norway. Number 2, Sweden.
We got to be getting close. I know we're coming up here somewhere. You know it, don't you?
Number 3, Iceland. Number 4, Denmark. Number 5, New Zealand.
Well, now, 50%'s not bad.
Number 6, Australia.
Dittos to 40%.
Number 7, Switzerland. Number 8, Canada. Number 9, Finland.
Wait a minute. We didn't even make the top 10?
No, sir. Number 10, Luxembourg.
You would think we should be number 1 the way some people talk.
Oh, listen, I will bet you more than 50% of my listeners right now are questioning those statistics because they probably thought we would be at the top of the list, but we're not.
We should be.
Now,
But we're not.
Here's where we can get into this a little more. I went out and I found the 13 principles of democracy. And I ranked them on an alphabet basis. So what I'm going to do, the way we're going to do this, and I'm going to encourage you to write them down, and you can call up and give me your grade. Number 1, citizen participation. One of the most basic signposts of democracy is citizens' participation in government. Participation is the key role of citizens in a democracy.
And that's not necessarily means protesting. That means run for office. Run for office.
It is not only their right, but their duty. On citizen participation, I gave us a C.
Yeah.
Number 2, equality. Democratic societies emphasize the principle that all people are equal. Equality means that all individuals are valued equally, have equal opportunities, and may not be discriminated against because of their race, religion, ethnic group, gender, sex, orientation. On equality, I gave us a C. On political tolerance, democratic societies are politically tolerant. This means that while the majority of people rule in a democracy, the rights of the minority must be protected. People who are not in power must be allowed to organize and speak out. On political tolerance, I give us a D. On accountability, in a democracy, elected and appointed officials have to be accountable to the people. They are responsible for their actions. On accountability, I gave us a D. Number 6, regular, free, and fair elections. One way citizens of the country express their will is by electing officials to represent them in government. Democracy insists that these elected officials are chosen and peacefully removed from office in a free and fair manner. On regular and free elections, I gave us a D. On economic freedom, this is number 7, economic freedom. People in a democracy must have some form of economic freedom. This means that the government allows some private ownership of property and businesses, and that the people are allowed to choose their own work and labor unions. That's number 7. I give us a B- on that. On the Bill of Rights. Bill of Rights is number 8. No, I take that back. This is number 8 is control of the abuse of power. Democratic societies try to prevent any elected official or group of people from misusing or abusing their power. That's number 8. On that, I gave us a C. Number 9, Bill of Rights. Many democratic countries also choose to have a Bill of Rights to protect people against the abuse of power. That's number 9. On number 9, I gave us a B. Number 10, accepting the results of an election. And on that, actually, I gave us an A, because we have an extremely good history of peaceful transition at the top of the heap. After that, it becomes a little more tenuous, but I gave us an A there. Human rights, number 11. All democracies strive to respect and protect the human rights of citizens. Human rights mean those values that reflect respect for human life and human dignity. On human rights, I give us a D. Number 12, a multi-party system. On that, I gave us a A. And on the rule of law, in democracy, no one is above the law, not even a king or an elected president. This is called the rule of law. It means that everyone must obey the law and be held accountable if they violate it. I gave us a B on that. It could have been a C, maybe a B-, but I gave it a B. So, you heard me. I gave you the 13 principles and my grades. I'm going to read them back to you one more time, then we're going to take a break. Number 1, citizen participation. Number 2, equality. 3, political tolerance. 4, accountability. 5, transparency. 6, regular, free, and fair elections. 7, economic freedom. 8, control of the abuse of power. Number 9, Bill of Rights. Number 10, accepting the results of elections. Number 11, human rights. 12, multi-party system. And 13, rule of law. And we're going to take a break. Don't you touch that dial. Give it some thought and tell me what you think. And give me your thoughts about that list. That number is 340-1590, because we'll be right back.
WPSL Digital 1590 presents CBS Storm Track Weather.
I'm CBS 12 meteorologist Michael Ehrenberg. For this evening and tonight, skies will be partly to mostly cloudy. A few quick showers, spotty downpours for parts of the area. Low temperatures dropping into the mid-70s. We'll still have that gusty breeze at times, too. Well, the mix of clouds and sunshine coming your way for both Thursday and Friday. A spotty shower, a quick downpour, even an isolated thunderstorm. However, most of the time will be dry. We'll still have that gusty wind out there with a high rip current risk. Highs both days in the mid-80s. I'm CBS 12 meteorologist Michael Ehrenberg for WPSL Digital 1590, the talk of the Treasure Coast.
Thank you, Michael. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. WPSL Digital 1590 and News 12. The ones to turn to on the Treasure Coast for up-to-date weather and news. Serving the entire Treasure Coast, Howard Insurance and Associates in Port St. Lucie offers a wide variety of insurance products, along with the very best customer service. Whether you're shopping for the best homeowners coverage at the most affordable value, contact Rudy Howard's team at Howard Insurance and Associates. If you need coverage for your vehicle, call Howard Insurance and Associates, 343-9878. That's 343-9878. Maybe you're planning to add a boat, motorcycle, or RV. Call Howard Insurance and Associates for your free quote at 343-9878 and get the coverage you need at a cost that will fit your budget. For home or business, auto, or recreational vehicle, choose Howard Insurance and Associates, 600 Southwest Darwin Boulevard, Suite 206, Port St. Lucie. And for your free rate quote, call them at 343-9878, 343-9878.
Welcome back to the African American scene. Once again, here's your host, Rudy Howard.
And we have Ron on line one. Yes, sir.
Hello?
Hey, Ron.
Yes, how you doing?
Hey, yeah, you guys got all wrong. You keep on saying democracy. This is not democracy. This is a republic. This is a republic. We do got parts of democracy, and we got part of socialism, like Social Security and Medicaid and all that. But this is a republic, not a democracy. That's where everybody's wrong.
It is a republic, but I was talking about the word democracy,
right? But
and what democracy means.
Right, but we're not a democracy. We're not a. We are a republic. We go and we vote for our guys to represent us. That's why it's a republic. I just wanted to touch bases on that.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right. And on line two, we have Richard. Yes, sir.
How are you?
Okay.
How are you? So I was calling because you gave one of the subjects, regular and free elections, you gave it a D.
Yes.
And I was wondering why so low. I mean, I've traveled to many countries around the world and that call themselves democracies that don't hold a candle to our regular and free elections.
Okay. I'm going to tell you why. Two reasons. Given our participation level, which is usually sometimes in the 40 percentile, and the fact that within the last few years we have enacted legislation which has suppressed voters, I think our rating on that is a D. And
okay, so let me just first ask you a question about that. The voter participation, you had that as a separate category, and I fully understand that is very far below. In fact, there's some countries where it's a crime not to vote.
that's true.
Okay, and our participation here is abysmal. But that doesn't change the fact that the elections are free and they are frequent, and somebody that wants to cast their vote can do it.
Yeah, but let's talk about that for a second, Richard. Think about what they do in other countries. They have holidays. They vote on weekends. They make it so that the participation for people is open and encouraged. I think, especially in the last 6 or 7 years, there's not been an encouragement to vote. There's been a discouragement to vote. Now, you're going to want to argue with me about that.
No, I'm not. In fact, I'm about to agree with you on one point.
Okay.
Which is the other countries that you mentioned that they do have holidays and they do vote on Saturdays or Sundays, usually Saturdays, okay, especially in Latin America. But that certainly would be an improvement in this country. But I'm not a young man, okay? I've been around and been voting for longer than I'd like to admit, okay, back into the late 70s, and it hasn't been any different. When I say that, okay, it's always been the first Tuesday in November, okay, and as far as national elections go, and while I agree with your premise that a more of an encouragement to vote should improve it, there's not really a barrier. Okay, I mean, people can vote. The polls stay open late enough and are open early enough to accommodate either an early morning worker or a late night worker. If you want to vote, you can do it. Okay, it's that if you want to do it bad enough.
Well, okay. To some extent, I'm going to agree with you on that. But why would we not make it easier to vote? I mean, I'm probably the same age you are.
I agree with you, by the way. I think they should make it easier to vote, and I would be very much in support of either making it a holiday or putting it on a Saturday in order to make it. But there's a lot of people that work on Saturday too, so I don't know that would necessarily solve the problem. A holiday might solve the problem, but there's a lot of businesses that don't close for holidays unless they mandate it that nobody works on that day.
Right.
That's going to be very hard to do given the economy in this country. I mean, heaven forbid, people work on Christmas Day, they work on Thanksgiving, they work on Easter, they work on the 4th of July. I mean, I don't really think that everybody will buy into that, okay? And I don't mean that in the sense of the government might buy into it, but I think that the people, the businesses don't want to buy it.
Well, I will tell you, I can only speak for myself as a business owner. I have always demanded that my employees go vote on Election Day. Just don't come in here until you come in with I have the vote sticker on.
Right.
I mean, it's just.
I agree with that support. Okay, I think that you should encourage it. I think everybody should be encouraged to vote, and I do think that some access improvement, whether it be, Saturday, whether it be holiday, whether it be extended hours even, you could possibly keep the polls either open an hour more or open an hour earlier in the morning to get people access to it. It's possible. If they want to do it, they can grant some more access, and any more access than what we have certainly would be helpful. But really, truly, to call it a D, I think is a reach.
Well,
I mean, I've been to those other countries, and there's quite a bit of I don't know what to call it.
Well, okay. Well, what grade would you give it?
I think that it could be a B. I think it could be. I mean, if you want to be really hard on it, you could call it a B minus. Okay, but
all right.
Compared to the rest of the world, I mean, there's some places they don't even vote at all. Okay, but those that call themselves democracies, a lot of times those votes are less than fair.
Okay. One other thought. What do you think about this? Oregon passed an automatic voter registration law last year. When you turn 18, just like it used to be, since you and I are about the same age, and you turned 18, you had to go down and sign up for selective service. In Oregon, now at 18, you automatically get registered to vote. You can opt out if you want, but you get automatic voter registration at 18. What do you think about that?
I think that's terrific. I think that should, again, happen. I think it should be encouraged. I do think that they need to be careful to make sure that they keep the voter rolls clean Okay, you don't want to hear about dead people voting. You don't want to hear about people, that move to other states, casting ballots in two places. I mean, they do have to tighten that up, but at the same time, I think everybody that is a citizen of that state should be encouraged and lower the barriers for anybody who's legally entitled to vote in that state to do so.
Well, thank you, Richard, for your call, and I'll accept your B-.
Perfect. Thank you. Have a great day. I look forward to the rest of your show.
Thank you, sir. And we got Phyllis on line 1.
Hi, Rudy.
How you doing?
Hi. Fine, thank you. I disagree. I don't think it's a B+ or an A- because I really think people in this country are lazy to vote. If they really wanted to vote, they'd vote. We have early voting, Saturday, Sunday voting. We have mail. You can mail in your ballot. How much easier is that? You have voting by mail. I mean, so what else do you need? I mean, and how many people vote here, snowbirds, by mail, and how many go north and vote again? I don't know, but I bet you there's some of them.
Well, I would venture to guess that we have a very unusual environment because we do have a lot of snowbirds here. Yeah, I guess I forgot about the early voting that you can do on Saturdays. So,
And
but
Sunday.
I think that's probably unique to Florida. I don't know of anybody else that. Do you know anybody else that does that?
I don't know because I don't know what every state does, but I'm sure they all have ballots, mail by ballot. You can do absentee ballot.
Okay.
You can do vote by mail. So I mean, how much easier can? And like I said, it's before work, after work. People just get lazy. They don't want to stand in line. They don't want to be inconvenienced.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
I mean, other people risk their lives to go vote, and we're just too lazy to get there and stand in line.
Oh boy, Phyllis, you just struck a chord with me. That's a big one with me because I think about those people that died for us to get the right to vote, and that's really that's important. But thank you.
I know. And then you get people who have never voted in their lives. What is your excuse? That's pretty sad.
I agree.
I've never voted. People go, I've never voted. Well, people have died for that right to give you. And how about those people in that country that had purple fingers that they all knew they finally voted? They took their lives in their hands. I mean, it's sad. I think it's very sad.
Yeah. Okay. Good point. We got. Thank you for calling. And we got Winnie on line 2. Yes, Winnie.
How you doing? Rudy Howard.
Okay.
I'm a registered voter, and I vote for. I'm a registered voter, but and I get my ballot in the mail after tea, and I just fill it out and put a stamp on it, send it through the mail. I don't want to be standing no long lines and all that carrying on. So I make it easy for me, so that's very, very easy for me. I don't mind putting a 49-cent stamp on the thing and fill it out and send it through the mail. So I vote all the time. I vote every. I vote for the local. I vote for the presidential. I vote for all areas.
So Winnie, so do I. So do I.
I know our some of our black folk died for vote, about voting. But I sure take that advantage. But I get mine through the mail. I put a stamp on it, fill out, and send it on through. And no excuse for me. No excuse. Okay. Have a God bless day. Bye bye.
Thank you. Right. I think after those 3 calls, maybe my D was a little low. I've gotten some really good arguments for why.
They had good arguments.
They did.
They included logic. Well, I don't know whatever happened to logic. People just reject logic like it was something evil,
Right. Okay, so they persuaded me that my grade was low. I'm with that. So
and you won him over. Congratulations.
You did. You guys won me over. Yes, sir. Okay, let me talk about the principles of American democracy. Now I'm not disputing the call that I got earlier about it being a republic, but this is from a piece of research that I did, and I'm going to share with you. The definition of democracy is simple: government by the people. Democracy is an idea which encapsulates other beliefs and principles into a governing dynamic. So that's how we see democracy. Aristotle is quoted as saying, if liberty and equality is, as is thought by some, are chiefly to be found in democracy, they will be best attained when all persons alike share in government to the utmost. Democratic governance in America can be summed up in a few elements. The first element is the mechanism of a representative democracy. While on the surface this sounds positive to practice, direct democracy tends to favor the well-funded, well-organized, and more energetic segments of a community or society. Let me think about that. The role of the president as the nation's first civil servant is to carefully implement, I want you all to listen to this very carefully now. Excuse me, I'm going to repeat this. The role of the president as the nation's first civil servant is to carefully implement the laws passed by Congress, interpreted by the court system, not to engage in social engineering. The moment he or she takes office, they cease to represent their party and instead represent an entire nation. And our democracy has the principle of the separation of powers. So that's kind of a capsule of the blog that I looked up called The Principles of Democracy in America. What do you think? Do you agree with that? I will tell you that one of the things we are badly faltering on, and Steve touched on it a little earlier, is that elected officials are loyal to the party first and the people second. I don't know how you get around that. And the other thing that the article talked about is about how democracy is persuaded by well-funded and well-organized organizations in society. So we have to really take a look at where we are. And I appreciate that conversation that Steve and I had, because I'm kind of on the same page with him about that. But anyway, okay. And we have a caller on line one. Kurt, yes, sir.
Yeah, hi, Rudy. Good evening. And you know, it's kind of hard for me to say this, but doggone it, tonight I agree with you.
Oh.
But seriously, you know, I don't think, and this is something that has probably happened over the last many years. I think there hasn't been a president, Republican or Democrat, that in all honesty has really done what they were elected to do, and that is to serve the entire population. You know, somehow we've bastardized it in too many special interest groups and too much financial influence, and that goes for the Senate and Congress. I mean, that goes for the entire Congress as well. I mean, I can't recall anybody that truly I feel represents me and has my interests at heart. I don't know what's wrong with the system. We have courts now, Rudy, that seem to be more interested in making law than interpreting law, and that's not the purpose of our court system. And we have presidents, both past and present, that if they disagree with what's happening, they just write an executive order and say, well, okay, this guy got sentenced to 100 years. I don't agree with it. I'm going to reduce his sentence and only give him 5 years. And that's not how this system was set up. I mean, regardless of whether you call it a democracy or a constitutional republic, it's still supposed to represent the people.
That's correct.
And
that's
all I got to say about that, Rudy. I would tend more to agree with your D grade than a B minus grade, because we got too many people in this country that are too content to sit on their fat rear ends in front of a television set rather than get off their guff and go out and vote. And I think that's a pretty sad testament to this country when you consider all of the fellas that have died for the right to vote.
Listen, Kurt, the problem is, well, I'm glad to see that you and I are on the same page, but here's part of the problem, Kurt. It's our problem too. We've created this because we've become so tribal in being a Republican or Democrat. We somehow have developed the mindset that it is somehow treasonous to disagree with a Democrat if you're a Democrat, or a Republican if you're a Republican.
Oh, I agree with that 100%. There shouldn't be. That's one of the reasons I think now is the best time in the world for us to start talking seriously about term limits. The way our founding fathers set up this country, Rudy, and you know it as well, is that we were supposed to, volunteer for service to our government.
Yes.
Go to Washington, and I say, okay, I think that's a wonderful idea. I want to go to Washington and represent the people of Fort St. Lucie, and I'll do my 5 years, and I'll do the best I can at the end of 5 years, send somebody else over there. It should not cost literally billions of dollars to get somebody elected to be president.
We won't disagree.
That is totally ridiculous. The guy that might be the best candidate has no chance of being elected to any kind of a higher office.
Yep. Well, thank you very much, sir. Appreciate your input. And I'm glad to know you agreed with me tonight.
Yeah, that's one of the first times on your show that I have, but there is some common ground.
Yes, sir, there is.
That's a good start, right?
Yes, sir. All
right.
Thank you.
Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Common ground is always good.
Yeah.
And we found it here tonight.
Yeah.
Caller after caller after caller agreeing with Rudy tonight.
Yeah, and that's amazing.
We need to zero in on this kind of stuff. You see, this is the stuff that we have that's common ground, which allows us to say, hey, you knew that? You knew about that? You're not so bad after all.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then, our theory of fix your neighbors a cake or barbecue some ribs for your neighbors,
Yeah, absolutely.
And you'll be surprised how much more common ground you're going to find once you break that ice.
Yeah.
That's got you encased.
Well, listen, the first thing is people willing to listen and accept feedback.
Yeah.
I've been, for the last couple of months, and he might even be listening tonight, I have been on an email debate with this guy who's a conservative, and I've told him how prejudiced he was and some of the things that he said to me, how racist they were, but he keeps writing me, and he keeps giving me issues, and I can sense that I have enlightened him on some things, and he's trying very hard to get a better understanding of what he thought he understood, which is what I was dealing with Steve last week. Sometimes you have people that think they know and don't know. So, but it's been a very interesting exchange that we've had. I'm going to get on this one thing here. I'm coming to the end of the hour really quick. Last week, Steve talked about this free stuff thing, and that's a conservative talking point that has developed, like victimology. Victims and free stuff. Those are two really key. Matter of fact, you can research it on the internet, and it will tell you about key Republican talking points, and one of them would be free stuff, and the other one would be victims. Let's talk about this free stuff talking point. The point ignores how we all get free stuff from the government. We all do. Such as tax credits, deductions, and exclusions. That's free stuff. That's free stuff we get.
No, wait a minute. If poor people get free stuff, then they're bad.
Right.
But if wealthy people get free stuff, it's okay.
Well, yeah. That's the whole point of this.
Double standard.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
As long as we know what we're dealing with here.
Yeah, but here's the really interesting part. I'm going to skip ahead just to read this first. Those who get them through the tax system usually don't realize they received a handout. In 2008, they did a poll. 57% of people said they had never availed themselves of any government program, yet 94% of those same people had in fact benefited at least one. So my middle class friends who like to harp on the poor people for getting free stuff are getting free stuff. Because when people are talking about free stuff, what they mean is welfare programs, cash benefits from temporary assistance for needy families, food stamps, housing assistance, and other direct spending programs that help the poor.
Well, then who are the victims now? We get the free stuff defined, but the victims, the people call themselves victims?
They're saying those people that are getting free stuff are victims, and they need to stop being victims, and if they stop being victims, they would no longer be in the category.
So they wouldn't need free stuff anymore?
They wouldn't need free stuff anymore.
Okay, so if they're victims, they need free stuff, but once you're all done being a victim, you have to give all your free stuff back? Or you just have to cease?
you get free stuff in a different way. I think that's what I'm trying to say here.
Oh.
Okay.
You still get free stuff then?
Yeah.
Okay.
So now, here, check this out. The government loses about $900 billion in revenue every year on just the 10 largest tax expenditures. $900 billion. That ain't even close to the little food stamps and temporary need for families. It's a pot that includes credits like earned income tax credit, child tax credit, deduction and exclusions that help mainly middle-class people reduce how much they owe each April. It also includes special tax rates for such as lower burden on money made through investment instead of salary. We know that to be a case. Okay. The Congressional Budget Office, more than half of the benefits these expenditures go to the richest 20% of American households.
And always have.
Yes. Yeah. So, but that free stuff don't count.
I was going to say that shouldn't the free stuff be free stuff for the folks who think or perceive that they're. What makes people think that they're paying for the free stuff that other people are getting?
Well, it's. I think somehow, and I have a friend, we've been having this debate. Somehow, in conservative minds, they have decided if, like one of the arguments you always hear them say, the Bible says if you teach a man to fish, then he'll be able to feed himself for a lifetime rather than giving him a fish. There's one important element missing in that. He got to have a damn pole. If he has no pole, he can't fish.
But then again, when he has a pole and he catches a fish, he's getting free stuff. Fish. Food.
Well, we're coming to the end, and I'm going to read this last little section from this article that I pulled up. Politicians stigmatize free stuff like food stamps, welfare, while courting votes, and gloss over tax breaks. But the problem goes beyond disingenuous politicians. Statements like these erode support for government. If most Americans falsely think they don't get free government stuff, though, they won't want to offer it to the people they think get it instead.
Isn't a tax break the same thing as free stuff, or just two different classes of people receiving the same thing?
Exactly. The mortgage deduction that you get because you own a house, and the poor people don't own a house and they rent an apartment.
They don't get that earned income credit.
Exactly. So, I mean, that's... But, listen, the point that I make is I threw that out there, and I can smell the minds burning. Some of you out there thinking about it, they're going, you know what?
Your tax break is the same thing as somebody else's food stamp, so there.
Right.
Okay.
And somebody's sitting there going, you know what? I never thought about that. Like, I guarantee there's somebody right now listening to the radio goes, and then there's other people out there going, Rudy's full of crap. He don't know what he's talking about.
But even so, Rudy, you allow your audience to think. When you allow somebody to think, you set them free because they're allowed to think.
That's right.
Without criticism for thinking.
And listen, I want to thank you guys for calling in because you guys had an effect on me. A lot of people say I never changed my mind, but that's not true. You changed my mind tonight about free and fair elections. But I'd like to thank you so much for listening to the African American Scene. God bless and be safe, and I'll see you right here next Wednesday for the African American Scene.
The African American Scene with Rudy Howard is brought to you by Howard Insurance and heard every Wednesday evening in the 6 o'clock hour. The archives of this show can be found on YouTube under WPSL TV, or even easier than that, go to WPSLTV.com to find our YouTube archives. This is WPSL Port St. Lucie, the talk of the Treasure Coast.